Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. 3 games on Saturday in the WNBA. Got a few early starts as well, so make sure you get ahead of those bets if you're trying to make them on Saturday. We're rolling along with a really nice record. We went at least 2-0 so far on the early game here on Friday night as I'm recording this, getting ahead of Saturday. Really excited to keep going here, up more than 10.5 units, now up more than 12.5 units. We'll see what happens in this Aces game against the Sun. Aces looking really good. Might get one wrong there, but looking good with Tyasha Harris. Either way, we're going to keep it rolling here. Let's get into what I've got for Saturday. After a quick reminder that we do have the outlier.bet promo running for you. The link is in the description of this video. If you want to go ahead and use that to get 7 free days to try out this program that I'm using each and every day that I'm making these WNBA bets to get all the key stats that I need, betting wise, especially here on outlier.bet for the W and plenty of other sports. So go ahead and use that link if you want to get a free trial to it. See if it's something that you want to keep using this summer. Quick look at the record. This will be updated by this weekend here. We're looking really good. Like I said, up more than 12.5 units after hitting 2 bets correctly in that Fever versus Dream game. We'll see what happens in the other game here, but still looking at least a 500 record on the night on Friday. So this is going to be pretty close. You can see 10.65 units that we're still up. So we're going to keep it rolling here. Let's jump into game number 1. The Wings are in DC taking on the Mystics. Quick look at the injuries here, because although Dallas has been a little bit more injured as of late, Natasha Howard should be a go. She's missed a bunch of time already this season. And then Arike Ogunbowale, been practicing that. Also looking good here. She just dropped 31 in the last game, even though she was questionable to play in that one. She ended up giving it a go and scored far and away the most points in the game. However, for the Mystics, they continue to miss Shakira Austin. Brittany Sykes should be available, which will be helpful. She's only played once in the last 8 or 9 games. And then Aaliyah Edwards is at risk right now of missing her first game of the season, which seems like it might be the case. She got injured on Wednesday with a little bit of a back injury, so she's now questionable in this one. It's going to leave some pretty big holes for the Mystics in the front court. Quick look at how they compare overall here in the season matchups. 8th best offensive rating for the Wings. They're really, really narrow in terms of the amount of players that really contribute on offense. To be honest with you, Arike does most of the work there for them. And then for the Mystics, worst offensive rating in the league. They've actually gotten a little bit better on defense, now 7th best, whereas the Wings have continued to drop down in their defensive efficiency, 11th, second worst in the league. Both these teams, middle of the pack in terms of pace. Mystics were pushing it a lot earlier in the year. Without Shakira Austin, though, there's a lot fewer defensive rebounds coming their way, which does sort of limit their ability to get out into transition. And they are terrible when it comes to rebounding, worst rebounding team in the league. And that makes sense, especially if we see Aaliyah Edwards not available in this game. Even fewer people that can rebound for this squad now versus this Wings team, where no matter how bad they've been at various points of this season, and they've lost 9 in a row. So very bad over the last 9 games that they've played. Still the 3rd best rebounding team in the league. And they do a good amount of work down low in the paint. Not very good offensive effective field goal percentages for either team, though. Mystics make a few more threes, which helps with the effective field goal percentage. Wings do not. They do not make very many threes at all. They have the 4th worst effective field goal percentage in the league right now. Diving into a few of the key stats for the Mystics on offense, you can see they get a good amount of points off of turnovers, and that's a little bit more of a defensive stat, but it's still turning into points. And the Wings are a bad turnover team. They continue to hemorrhage turnovers and give up the ball, really some bad mistakes, and they don't even really give up that many steals to other teams as much as they just turn the ball over in poor situations. That's led to giving up the most points off of turnovers in the league right now. And as far as the 3-point stuff goes, though, the Mystics are relying, like I mentioned, on a lot of 3-pointers made, especially because they don't have much in the way of bigs down low that can score for them. Stephanie Dolson's been getting a lot of time at center, and she shoots like 70% of her shots from above the break. So they're not getting much down low, forcing them to hit a lot of threes. That's where the Dallas Wings defense is the strongest. It's going to be limiting 3-pointers made, 3rd fewest that they allow to their opponent. On the other side of the floor, second chance points and paint points are going to be what you see for Dallas. Not very good out on the perimeter on offense here, but very good down low. And this is where I expect them to be, to find some success. But I will say the Mystics, as bad as they've been rebounding and scoring down low, they've been very good limiting down low. 2nd fewest points in the paint that they're allowing. Second chance points should be a problem, continuing to be so for them. 12th in rebounding, like we know. So they're 7th in terms of allowing offensive second chance points to the offense. That's where Dallas gets the majority of its points. A very good offensive rebounding team with a lot of decent length and athleticism in the front court. So they should be able to dominate down low from that standpoint. So my first bet of the day for Saturday is the Wings to win this one by at least 1.5 points here. Nice little minus 106 on FanDuel, a little bit closer to even money for us. I think the streak finally ends for Dallas, who has been waiting impatiently, I'll say, to get this 9-game losing streak out from under them. And I think this is going to be the moment in time to do it, especially against a team like the Mystics where they're ripe for defeat here. Even with Brittany Sykes back, I just think Shakira Austin has been so massive for them. I mean, the Mystics did win a few games in a row and then just lost their last one to the Fever, right back to their losing ways. And I expect the Wings to take full advantage of that, especially because of the way that they limit three-pointers and how reliant upon the three the Mystics are. And that rebounding disparity is just going to come up huge multiple times in this game. I really easily see it being a moment in time where like they're getting second chance points. They're not giving up any second chance points. So the Mystics really are going to have to shoot really nicely from deep, especially. And that's where the Wings are really, really good on defense in terms of limiting points to the opponent when it comes to those 3-point shots. So without Aaliyah Edwards, who's questionable, she might play, but especially without Aaliyah Edwards, the rebounding and the down low stuff is going to be a huge mismatch for Dallas. So we'll take them to cover 1.5 on the road. Game number 2, we got the Sparks taking on the Liberty in New York. Going to be a problem for LA. You can see Lexi Brown is still out in this one. That's going to be a problem for them. She's been big this season. Courtney Vandersloot is also questionable to play. I doubt she does. She's been taking some personal time off as her mother sadly passed away this past weekend. About a week ago now. So I don't think that she's yet ready to come back to the team. It doesn't sound like she's going to be there. So I would consider her a little bit more towards doubtful than questionable. And Lainey Hamilton, similar story. She's just got a straight injury. So it does look like she's legitimately 50-50, but also leaning towards not playing for the Liberty. Looking at the matchup here, it is not even. Let's put it that way. The Liberty have jumped all the way up to first in offensive rating, where they fluctuated between about first and third. Really good shooting team. Sabrina Ionescu, huge reason for that. Defensive rating also in the top 4 for them. I mean, everything here is in the top 4 for them. Playing very fast. Second best rebounding team, second best shooting team in the league. So they've been pretty hot as of late. We know 9 of 10 now. The Sparks, not quite the same for them as they've lost a bunch, 5 in a row for LA now. So they're going to, including their most recent game where these teams just played, they're going to have a little back to back here against each other. Offensively for LA, really poor shooting. Really not able to get much. Their down low stuff, obviously with Dearica Hamby, has been better than anything else out on the perimeter for them. But overall, middle of the pack to bottom half really of the league. And really the only thing that they can really hang their hats on rather is Dearica Hamby's rebounding and the rebounding of a couple others on there as well. But outside of Hamby, they are going to continue to struggle against a Liberty team that has become really good on defense in addition to basically the best offense in the league. So rather than dive into too much of the specifics of this one, let me just go ahead and take Sabrina Ionescu and not worry about any of the other stuff here. With a 15-point spread, 167.5, I do like the Liberty to be able to score the bulk of the points here. I don't know that the Sparks are going to come along for the ride, so I'm staying away from sides or totals in this one and just going with our girl Sabrina here to get over 18.5 points. Something she did handily in the last game that these teams just played. 31 points that she dropped on the Sparks' head, 6 for 11 from deep as well for Sabrina. So I would continue to expect that she's going to be able to get a lot of threes up and make a good amount of them against the worst team defending above the break threes in the league. Sabrina's not really going down into the corners. She plays a lot of the pick and roll ball handler. She's running this offense, make no mistake, but she has the green light to shoot whenever she wants. And with the way that this Sparks team is defending all over the perimeter, it's not likely that they're going to be able to limit one of the best 3-point shooters in the league right now. And if you look at the fact that Vandersloot, like I said, don't expect her to play over now in 5 of 7 games without CVS, Courtney Vandersloot, this season for Sabrina. She's averaging about 21 almost points per game in those 7 games without CVS. So I would feel pretty good about her continuing to go over this. I thought they would have bumped this all the way up to maybe 20.5 or at least 19.5. So I'm getting some pretty good value here with an edge to go over 18.5 for Ionescu. One more quick reminder before we get to the last game here on the slate, the Discord is live. So if you do want to get these plays early, you want access to all of the incredible bettors that are especially in the WNBA channel. Really, really proud of how solid that WNBA channel is right now, with a lot of great looks from people who even have their own channels in the Discord so that you can make sure you find all the plays for those who are following this league very intently, right? So definitely check that out. The link is in the description of the video. Last game on the slate actually doesn't have any important injuries that I would need to tell you about. So we're just going to get right into the head-to-head matchup between Phoenix and Minnesota. Minnesota been basically the hottest team in the league now, 5 wins in a row for them. The Mercury look really good too, though. They've won 4 out of 5, and that's because Brittany Griner has been back for 5 games. Even the first game that she came back, she only played 21 minutes, still won that game with her presence in there. Since then, up about 30 or more minutes in each of these last 4 games, where they've won 3 of their last 4 of their last 5. She's looked awesome and really, really helped them out by being able to score down low and do a little bit more than just shoot the ball from far away, which is what Phoenix wants to do, which we'll talk about in one sec. But this matchup overall, when you look at the offensive rating for Minnesota, 3rd best, defensive rating 2nd best. So that's going to be where they have a little bit of the advantage, their ability to limit what the Mercury want to do. The matchups individually should be pretty good for them as well, although I would expect Brittany Griner to have a pretty good day here against a team that's not great against the paint. But everywhere else for Minnesota, incredible. The problems they have are defending down low and rebounding. Everything else is basically top 2 or 3 in the league for this Minnesota team, including the best offensive effective field goal percentage because they make a lot of threes, which helps your effective field goal percentage go up a bit more. For Phoenix, they do shoot a ton of threes as well, which is why they're 4th best in terms of their effective field goal percentage. But rebounding, limiting stuff in the paint, limiting threes, that's all going to be a problem for them. They do like to play fast, 3rd fastest pace, but that 9th overall defensive rating has not really improved since Brittany Griner came back. You would have thought maybe she would help them down low a little bit more, limiting second chance points, limiting points in the paint. Hasn't really been the case, and that defense continues to struggle for Phoenix. Looking at how the Lynx offense matches up with it, going to be a problem for Phoenix. I'm pretty confident in that. They are 1st in terms of points off of turnovers. Mercury giving up a bunch of those, 8th worst, well, whatever you want to call it, 5th worst really in the league in terms of allowing points off of turnovers with a high turnover percentage against a really, really suffocating defense in Minnesota, which then leads to fast break points, which a lot of those points off of turnovers are in the fast break. That's where the Mercury are even more weak. 10th in terms of limiting fast break points, which is 3rd worst in the league. And then they are giving up the most threes, which is where Minnesota wants to score from. They have a ton of assists. They get a ton of open looks off from 3 because of those assists. And the Minnesota defense, the Mercury defense just doesn't really move around the perimeter well enough to limit anybody or assist. They give up a ton of assists and the most threes in the league. That's going to be a huge problem for them in this game. As far as what the Mercury want to do, even with Brittany Griner back, it's still a lot of pass down low and pass back out. She's the only person that can score with her back to the basket or really down low around the paint at all, which is why this Mercury team does attempt the 3rd most threes and makes the 4th most, heavily reliant upon it, the 3rd highest percentage of their points coming off of 3 for Phoenix. So it's something they need to do in order to win. Minnesota, that's their bread and butter on defense, man. They're 4th best, limit teams to the 4th fewest attempts from 3 and the 2nd fewest makes. So they're suffocating you even when you get the 3 off in a way that is 2nd best in terms of the opponent 3-point percentage. So that's going to continue to be a problem for Phoenix in this game. And the main reason that I do like Minnesota to win this thing. So I'm taking them -5.5 at home. I'm also throwing the over out there, 162.5. I do think the fact that both these teams sort of have opposite strengths, right? Like now that Brittany Griner is out there, she can score for the Mercury down low. That should help us get over. And Minnesota does go higher scoring at home. Their games average about 165 points per game when they play in Minnesota, which is where this game is, which should be really helpful for them. They shoot a little bit better there, get about 85 points per game for the Lynx when they play in their home building. And then if you look at the 3-pointers, I think Minnesota's going to just 3-point barrage, man. Like they'll limit a bunch of what Phoenix wants to do with that 3-point shot. But as far as Phoenix's ability to limit what they want to do, that's going to be a problem, right? So turnovers also going to be a big downfall for Phoenix. You add that to the fast break points, the points off of turnovers, and the threes. Those are going to be the 3 categories that as long as the Lynx do what they do, which is be a top 2 team in the league at all of those things versus the Mercury, who not good at those things. Like I said, should be a good win for the Lynx. However, we do need to go with Brittany Griner down low because there's no down low defense for Minnesota. So I really like Griner to continue to roll along. She's averaging above this 19.5 points that her prop is at. Get that at -105 on DraftKings too. So I really like the number that we're getting there. Look, this team is 4-1 since she came back. Like I said, they were towards the bottom half of the league rising up the ranks a bit. She's gone over this number in 3 of those 5, and I think you can do away with one of those at least, which is the first game back. Played 21 minutes. They were easing her back into things. Plus, the other game that she went under was against the Aces, who one of the best defenses in the league down low, fewest points in the paint that they allow. So no shock there that she had a little bit of a down game. But now she's playing the complete opposite, which is the team who allows the most points down low. And she's been averaging 21.5 points per game since she's been back. And like I said, that's been against 3 of the best teams down low, including Connecticut, including Seattle as well. So a lot of good teams and good defenses have not been able to stop her now. And now we're talking about a good defense everywhere except for down low, where I expect her to get her points in the paint against Minnesota. And that is all the time that I have for you in this one. Make sure to subscribe to that page. Jump in there and jump in the comments. Let me know who you guys are betting here on Saturday. Having a really good time with this WNBA with you. Outlier is still a free 7-day risk-free trial, meaning just go ahead and get it for free there for 7 days and check it out. See if it helps you out with your bets over the next week or so. Link is in the description of the video. Same for the Discord, where we're giving a ton of great looks every day here for the W and MLB as well, which I'll say to you. So definitely want to jump in there for free right now. Link is in the description of the video as well. I'll be back here for you guys on Monday next week. We'll get into a bunch more stuff, but until I see you then, happy betting.